Now I want to talk about your choice of protein in your diet. Wherever you can, you want to move that lever toward the low-calorie proteins. People also forget that you do not need a lot of protein. The amount of protein that you need in your diet every day is about the size of the palm of your hand. That's all the protein you need for a day, unless you are doing very, very strenuous work or exercise, like competitive weightlifting, competitive football, very, very strenuous jobs that require lots of strength and muscle. Then you would need more protein. But for most of us, you only need about this much protein every day. Not every meal, but every day. So you want to move the lever as best you can to the low-calorie proteins, like fish that have fins, fish that look like this. So fish with fins are some of your best sources of protein, low-calorie protein. Now, of course, the oily fish, like tuna and salmon, are even better for your health because they contain important nutrients, but they are not necessarily better for weight loss. But if you choose your protein to be fish with fins, you will do very well because it's high quality protein and very low calorie. Now, of course, soy and tofu are also in this category. And then in the middle, we have birds and nuts and shellfish, probably in that order. So lean turkey and chicken are relatively low-calorie proteins. They're not the best, they're in the middle. But make sure you do not eat any of the skin. And of course, how you cook any of these proteins also matters. If you are using oil to cook these proteins, like frying, then you are adding lots and lots of calories. You can use nuts, and then shellfish are not the same as fish with fins. Shellfish tend to have much more calories per ounce of protein. Then we get down to the land animal meats, basically beef and pork. If you are eating lean cuts of meat, lean steaks or chops of beef or pork, you are not at the bottom of your range, but you're certainly not at the top. But if you have some lean beef steaks or lean pork chops, and lean, of course, just means a very small amount of fat. If you're eating lean beef or pork steaks, you're at least not doing as bad as these. And then at the very bottom, if you move the lever all the way down, you've got hamburger, ground pork, and sausages. Sausages are probably the worst because they have lots of fat in order to make it fry up nice and tasty. So these are probably one of the very worst forms of protein for weight loss. They have low amount of protein, high amount of fat, bad for weight loss. So you want to turn the lever up as best you can toward these things. Now, the other lever that we talked about that you can push to increase your weight loss is fiber. You want to eat high fiber foods because this will help you to feel full and not be so hungry that you end up grabbing high calorie foods. And it will lower the amount of absorption because it helps push all of the foods through your intestines. The shorter the amount of time the food is in your intestines, the better your chance of weight loss. So we have the highest fiber foods. You could say these are not really foods but they are just concentrated forms of completely natural high fiber foods. We've simply taken the high fiber parts of certain plants and taken those off the rest of the plant and concentrated them so you can eat just the fiber. All three of these are things that you put in water or other drinks in order to swallow lots and lots of fiber. So I've given you the names you can look for on the labels: psyllium fiber, methylcellulose, and wheat dextrin. These are all just concentrated forms of fiber that you can buy and use as a supplement to dramatically increase the amount of fiber in your diet to help you feel full and to speed the food through your intestines. The most famous brand name of psyllium fiber is Metamucil. Now that's just one brand. Personally, I buy the store brand from places like Walmart or Costco because it's exactly the same psyllium fiber, but it costs a lot less because we're not buying the brand name. The other type of fiber that's easy to use, easy to drink, is methylcellulose. And the most famous brand name is Citracel. But again, you can buy this from the large chain stores under their own store brand, and it costs a lot less. Just make sure you look for this word as the ingredient. And then the next one is called wheat dextrin. And the most famous brand name that I know is called Optifiber. And that's actually from Costco. The interesting thing about wheat dextrin is it completely dissolves in liquid. And so it does not taste gritty. It does not have a gritty texture. When you drink a liquid with wheat dextrin in it, there is almost zero taste and zero feel in your mouth. You do not feel any grit or particles in your mouth or in your teeth. Methylcellulose is interesting in that it does not tend to produce gas. Psyllium fiber, when it is digested, produces some gas. So if you are using a lot of psyllium fiber added to your diet, you may notice an increase in gas in your intestines. That's not a bad thing, it's not a disease, but it can be a little bit uncomfortable. The other thing I want to mention about psyllium fiber is that there is some very good medical research showing that this is particularly good for weight loss and general health. A couple of years ago, I was looking at some very good research done from multiple researchers, multiple different studies, showing that even if you change nothing else about diet or exercise, if you add psyllium fiber to your diet, the people who did that over about 3 months lost an average of about 10 pounds. Not changing anything else, simply adding 1 dose of psyllium fiber twice a day, and they lost about 10 pounds, and their cholesterol numbers went down, their triglyceride numbers went down, their overall health and risk of things like heart attack and stroke was reduced just by adding psyllium fiber. And of course, with what we're doing, that helps to lose weight because we are pushing that lever up and getting more fiber in order to feel less hunger and decrease the amount of calories that are absorbed. Then we get to high fiber foods, and these are things like broccoli, cauliflower, kale, spinach, cabbage, lettuce. These are exactly the same as our low calorie plants from the first lever. So when you increase the amount of these plants in your diet, you are increasing the lever of low-calorie plants and you are increasing the lever of high-fiber foods at the same time. How nice that you can use one set of foods to push both of these levers up. Now, in terms of low-calorie plants, fruits were down here in the blue section. But in terms of fiber, we have quite a few fruits that are high in fiber. And so they're listed in the green section. And these are things like plums and figs and apples and oranges if you eat the whole food. So if you choose to make juices out of these, make sure that you are juicing the entire plant, that you do not extract the fiber for the juice. Otherwise, you completely lose the point of using high fiber fruits. So make sure that if you are making orange juice, that you are keeping all of the fiber, all of the pulp in the orange juice. Now, in terms of high fiber foods, we have the grains, wheat, corn, oats, rice, and especially millet. In our low calorie plant section, these grains were in the red. These are relatively high calorie, but we have them blue here in the middle section because they are relatively high in fiber. And among these grains, the one with the highest fiber is probably millet. So if you are going to make something like a porridge out of wheat or corn, oats, rice, or millet, choose the millet. It is much higher in fiber than most all of the rice varieties. Now, of course, the worst in our category of high fiber foods are those things which cause constipation. The constipating foods are constipating in large part because they do not have high fiber. So things like cheese and peanut butter are very low fiber. So you want to move the lever away from those. Not only are they low fiber, they are also high fat. So they are relatively high calories. Peanut butter is a pretty good source of protein, but it has too much fat and it has too little fiber to be something good for us when we are trying to lose weight. So remember, when your goal is losing weight, the most important thing to remember is that energy input has to be lower than energy output in order to achieve weight loss. And it is much more efficient to reduce the number of calories in your diet than to try and increase the amount of exercise. Walking 30 miles per week would cause you to lose 1 pound, but simply reducing the amount of calories in your diet by 500 calories, most of us can do that with just 1 or 2 choices per day. And in 7 days, you will lose 1 pound. When you are thinking about your diet, there are 3 primary levers that you can push up or push down. Every time you push these levers up, you increase your weight loss. Increasing the amount of low-calorie plants in your diet by pushing that lever up. Increasing the percentage of low-calorie proteins. Every time you choose a low-calorie protein over a high-calorie protein, you increase your weight loss. And every time you push the lever up to use more high-fiber foods, you can increase your weight loss. So in just the past 5 days, I have pushed these 3 levers very far up. And in 5 days, I have lost 5 pounds. I do not expect to be able to maintain that rate of weight loss. At the beginning of any diet, you lose lots of weight, and then the rate of weight loss lowers somewhat. But as long as I keep these levers up, I will continue to lose weight.
Wow, you are so great.